Sorry. My name is Kate. I am the admissions officer for the school. You should all know me either by name or voice or face. It is my pleasure to be the first speaker to you today. So, we have a lot to get through to today. On the screen you'll see an overview of the School of Advanced Studies, which was founded in 1994 and is currently made up of 9 institutes and 3 centers for teaching. Elaine Waters, our Director of Operations, will give you a proper welcome into the school, so I will not spend much time on this. Today we will go through the administration within the school, the immigration rules that you need to abide by, and just a few tips and tricks about living in the UK if this is your first time being here. So let's make a start. So SAS Registry is the central administration team of all of the institutes, so whichever you're studying under. We are located in Stewart House on the 2nd floor to your left as you exit the elevator. You can come see us for general advice, to collect letters, to submit coursework. If you have any issues that you want to discuss in person, you can do that any day, Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Those are our open door visiting hours. You don't need an appointment, you can just walk in. So the key dates for international students are today, which is the induction, and the research students have 2 more days of training, Monday and Tuesday, the 29th and the 30th. So these are compulsory dates unless there's a specific reason why you're unable to attend and you've advised us in advance. Moving on to immigration rules and student visa holder rights and responsibilities. We are required by the UKVI to retain certain data of yours, including for a period of time even after you've graduated. So we have to have at all times a copy of your passport, a copy of your sticker visa. Some of you may have received one, others not, because they've discontinued these in mid-July. So if you don't have one, it's not a problem. We need to keep a copy of your e-visa and your visa decision information, which is either a letter or an email. So I will have asked most of you for this. If I haven't, expect an email to come me requesting it. Another new requirement is that we need to keep a record of your date of entry when you first come into the UK on your student visa, and that's to make sure that with digital visas, students aren't coming in as visitors and then expecting to switch onto the student visa in country, which cannot be done. So if you've come in as a visitor before your student visa start date, the digital visa start date, you will be required to leave the country outside of the UK and Channels area, which includes Ireland, Scotland, I believe that's about it, and return, and that's to activate your student visa. Right, so hopefully none of you are in that situation. If you're aware, come see me and we can discuss it after the induction. We also need to have a copy of your current address in the UK, term time, as well as your overseas home address. And this needs to be maintained throughout your studies. So whether you're here for a year or 4 years, every time you move, you're meant to let us know. We also need to have a phone number for you and an email address. And any significant changes in your life are things that we're required to record. So if you have a child or you get married or something significant changes while we're sponsoring your visa, that's something that we'd have to retain in our records. Okay, we are obliged to tell the Home Office if you don't attend the induction without letting us know. If you don't attend the first day of a program without letting us know. If you stop studying for any reason, if you withdraw, or if the length of your program changes. For example, if you're a PhD student and you finish before your allocated time on your CAS, we are obliged to let them know that you finished. If we come to know that you've breached the conditions of your visa in any way, shape, or form, or if you miss 10 contact points. So these are non-negotiable. this is what is expected of the school for us to maintain our license to continue to sponsor international students, as well as staff that come to teach. So, what is a misconduct point? A misconduct point is anything that is required for your studies that you don't show up to without a valid reason. So that includes lectures, tutorials, not handing in assessments, not attending exams, not meeting with your tutor or staff as arranged, so that would include meetings with registry staff, not completing a research degree's student progress report, which you will have to do six monthly, once or twice a year. And then there's an additional meeting report that you're supposed to complete with your supervisor after every meeting that you have, and that's only if you're a research student. And anything else that is pertinent and relevant requirement for your program, like field trips, training, seminars, those are all, if you miss those are all misconduct points. So 10 of these in any term is a withdrawal, but obviously we would get in touch with you before you get to 10. We try and contact you at 3, 4, 5, as soon as we become aware that you are missing classes and not getting in touch, letting us know why. Okay? So this might sound serious, but it's not as serious as it is as serious as it can get, but you wouldn't reach 10 without knowing about getting close to 10. Okay? All right, so it's your responsibility to keep us up to date with your personal details, email, phone number, and address. If you go on holiday during the term time, so when you're meant to be attending classes, you have to let us know. You have to sometimes seek permission from your program leader and from registry because you're on a visa. If you're unwell, especially if you're unwell for more than 5 days, then you're going to need to provide the school with a doctor's note, which your general practitioner or GP can give you. If you're thinking about withdrawing for any reason, please come see us, let us know. Or if there's anything else that's preventing you from attending your program and successfully completing it, then please let us know. It's one of your responsibilities. So once you're here, changes should be reported to registry by email or via our ServiceNow system, and to the Home Office via your UKVI account. If you have a financial sponsor, they should also be notified by any changes. So these are interruptions, withdrawals, huge changes in your life, having a baby, getting married. Sometimes there's conditions attached to your financial sponsorships if you have one. So make sure that you're aware of those. Right, so e-visas. This is relatively new. I think this is the second year coming that we have e-visas, and all students have e-visas now. Previously, it was only EU nationals that had e-visas. You should all by now know how to generate the share code. Expect to generate more of these for landlords, for banks, for the NHS, and anywhere else where normally you would show a visa, a physical visa. Now you have to provide a share code. So, gov.uk is where you generate these codes. Right, working while you're studying. So all of you actually should have permission to work 20 hours a week, term time, and full time during holidays. So full time is 40 plus hours. Check what your passport sticker, decision letter, or e-visa says. If it doesn't say any of those, then come see me. Unfortunately, with the e-visa system, I can no longer tell who has. Previously, if we checked the visa, we could tell if someone's working conditions were incorrect. With the e-visa system, this now falls onto your shoulders to make sure that the Home Office have given you the right working permissions. So do log in, do have a read. It should be 20 hours per week or so. It should say one of those things on the screen. So work, any changes must be authorized, able to work as tier 4 rules, and so on and so forth. if it says no work or work prohibited, you're not allowed to work, even if it is a mistake, until they correct it. So it's a bit unfair, but that's the rule. So if it says no work or work prohibited or anything that would imply you not being able to work, please come see me so we can work out how to get these updated, because it's a new process. Right, so term time for MA, MRes, and LLM students. The term dates are on our website. There is a summer term, which commences when your research or your dissertation supervision commences, and it finishes when you submit your dissertation. And then any time between then and the end of your program for master students is a holiday. Once you've finished, you're finished, so that's a holiday. So you're allowed to work full-time between submitting your dissertation and your visa expiring, right? Which is an additional 4 months after September. Vacations are listed on there, so those are official vacations. You're allowed to work full-time, all students. Now, research students, PhD students, there is no term time for you. There is you're just studying, okay? You have the holidays, which are on there, and any other time you're only allowed to work 20 hours per week, okay? Right, UK Council for International Student Affairs, or UKISA for short. They are a not-for-profit organization that are kind of the buffer between universities and the government. So when the lovely people from the Home Office come up with a new regulation that is hard to interpret or hard to put into practice, and they kind of help us interpret it. The other side of their work is to do with supporting international students. They have a lot of handy tips on their website, everything from working to living to NHS to dealing with issues with your university. So let's say you have an issue with SAS and you can't get a satisfactory resolution, you can turn to UKISA for assistance in resolving that, yeah? So they're there for international students specifically. I will send everyone this presentation in a PDF format, so you'll have all these links, not to worry. But yeah, have a look on their website. They have a wealth of handy information when you don't know something, okay? All right, so that's it for rights and responsibilities. I'll take questions at the end. We'll have a Q&A time. But let's move on to living in the UK as a student. So first things first, healthcare. We have our beloved National Healthcare System, or NHS. Canadians will have something similar to this, but anyone from the States, this will be foreign. So you should register with a GP. The nearest ones to the campus, to Senate House, are Gover Street, Ridgemount, Museum Practice, and Brunswick Medical Centers. These are within half a mile from this building, if you're living close to Senate House. If you're not, then you should head on to the nhs.uk, and based on your postcode, you will be able to find all the GP practices around your area. Registration is based on your postcode. So there's a catchment area each practice will have. And if you're not in the right postcode, you cannot register. I would highly recommend you get a GP. Winter is coming, it can get cold very suddenly. You might need a prescription, you might need assistance. So it's always good to have a GP registration. It can take a few weeks as well to get the whole registration process over and done with, yeah? Dentistry is not covered under the NHS. There are NHS fees you can request to have at NHS dentists, but in general, it's not a free service for anyone. So do shop around both for a GP and for the dentist. With the GPs, I'd have a look at the most recent reviews, see what people say, how happy they are, whether they can get an appointment in a reasonable time. So don't just go for the first thing you see on the list. Right, for any life-threatening emergencies, you can go to A&E, accident and emergency. Most large hospitals will have an A&E department. For minor illnesses or injuries, you can go to a walk-in center where no appointment is needed, or your GP where you will need an appointment. Pharmacies can also give advice on minor ailments. NHS 111 is a free phone service that will give you medical advice 24 hours a day. So on your UK mobile phone, you just dial 111. And you get through an operator. It's a pretty lengthy service because they ask you a lot of irrelevant questions to assess your medical needs, but it's necessary and sometimes it's useful. And then they tell you what to do, whether to just go to the pharmacy and get something over the counter, go to E&E, or just ring your GP the next day. So it's useful to have if you're in doubt in the middle of the night, you're not sure if you're okay, then just ring NHS 111, okay? Okay, so the emergency number in the UK is 999. Only dial this in the case of a true emergency. The line will connect to an operator that asks you police, ambulance, or fire brigade. So you need to pick one and then you're connected to the relevant service. So don't just, hello, this is happening. No, you have to wait until they ask you who you want to speak with. 101 is the non-emergency police number. This is not a free call. The calls cost 15p per call. So whether it's 2 minutes or 2 hours, it's 15 pence. This is where you can just reach your local police to ask for advice or report minor crime that's happening in your area. Anything that isn't an emergency, you would have to contact 101. Okay. Right. So we have to talk about this: mental health and emotional well-being during your studies. Whether you're here for a year or 4 years, we understand that life will happen, things will happen. As you get closer to the end of your program, your journey becomes more and more isolated with your dissertation or your thesis. But please don't feel like you can't reach out for help. We have a dedicated emotional well-being support team that is technically external to the school. So we can always just refer you to that. We offer free counseling, a certain number of hours of free counseling, and if you have a GP and you're in need for further counseling on the NHS, they can refer you, but only if you have a GP. So highly recommend registering with one as soon as possible. Okay, so most of you will need a bank account in the UK. You can open one by booking an appointment with the bank. A lot of the branches have closed, so online banks will be the go-to. But for those that want a traditional high street one, you will need to book an appointment with a manager. And before your appointment, you'll need to provide us the details so we can give you what's called a bank letter. Shanika will have sent you all an email, an induction companion, where information about how to get these letters is listed. So have a look at your email addresses and it should be there. So you'll need to provide them proof of your address in the UK. So this would be a bill, a bank statement from another bank, or a tenancy agreement with your landlord. So something that proves where you live, or letter can serve as a proof of address as well. And you'll also need to provide them evidence of your permission in the UK, so a share code if they ask you for it. Okay, so we are located in Senate House, as you are aware. There's a library in this building from the 4th floor up to all the way to the tower. It's full of books. Bloom is located on the lower ground floor of Senate House. This is a place for students to enjoy themselves. Let's see if this video will work. No, it's a little... Okay, well, this is not working. It's a little presentation little video on Bloom. So there are study spaces, there's a cafe where you can get fresh food, cooked food, and salads, and pastries, and so on and so forth. In the breaks, feel free to have a walk around. You don't need your ID card to get in there. Right, so Britain is a well-ordered and relatively safe country, despite what you may have heard on the news. London is one of the safest capitals, despite what you may have heard on the news. Like any big city, crime happens, serious crime happens, but it is rare. The most common crime that you can become a victim of is pickpocketing. So when you're on the tube, please pay attention to where your belongings are. You know, pickpockets operate all over. The City of London Police has a handy guide on how to keep yourself safe. In general, if you live a low-risk lifestyle, I don't foresee anyone getting injured or becoming a victim of any crimes. Right, so hands up who's lived in the UK before? Okay, so you know about the tube. Do you know about the tube? Right, okay. So getting around London is the fastest and most efficient way to get around is with the tube. As a student, you get a 30% discount on travel cards, but only on travel cards. So if you're studying at the Warwick, it might be worth it because you're there 5 days a week. If not, pay as you go might be cheaper because unless you're buying a weekly or monthly travel card, the discount doesn't apply. There's also discounts on the rails, on rail lines, which don't belong to Transport for London. There's a form for that one, but don't quote me on that. Might be online now. If there is, and if you need us to sign anything on the rail card form, just bring the form into the registry and we'll do that for you. Buses and night buses is another good way to get around. It's much cheaper. It takes longer, but especially if you're out at night on a Saturday night and there's no more tube, a night bus will get you home just as well as the tube would. You can cycle and walk. Oftentimes in central London, you will get from A to B quicker walking or cycling than you would on the tube because it takes time to go down, get on the train, get off, come back up. So always make sure that you check which is the fastest way to go. And try to make most of your stay here. Bloomsbury is has a concentration of books in the world made up of 3 million volumes in Senate House libraries and other University of London libraries. The British Museum is across the road, so that's an entire day can be spent there. Actually, I heard more than a day. And then visitlondon.com is a good place to find all sorts of cultural events. And Time Out is more for fun. Bars, clubs, shows, etc. So have a look at those to see if there's anything that piques your interest. And that's all I had to say today. So, any questions on anything at all? Yes. Yes.
Just a quick comment about the GPs. I registered for the Gower Street and I'm not in this postcode. They just, you can do that, it's possible. It just limits some things. So if you wanted like delivery to your home and stuff, that's not possible.
Okay.
But it is possible.
Because you study here.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So some GP services will say it's by your home address, some will say it's by study or work address as well. So some will include that, yeah. The ones around here should be pretty flexible.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yes?
I was going to ask, the 20-hour work requirement, does that affect internships through the school?
Is it paid or unpaid?
I'm not sure.
Okay. If it's a volunteer position where you're not getting any kind of compensation, then no, you're allowed to volunteer as much as you want. If you're receiving a salary, you can't be self-employed in the UK as a student or a business owner. not on a student visa at least, then it counts towards the 20 hours a week. Yeah. Yes?
Just I believe the rare book, or sort of the history of the book internship is unpaid because you're getting credits for it. So just.
Yeah, if it's part of your program, then it doesn't count towards the 20 hours. Because that's part of your program. Yeah. Yes?
One question regarding the European health insurance card. I guess maybe also interesting for some other from mainland Europe. I tried to apply for it yesterday, but it asked for my NI number, and I didn't have an NI number, and so I don't know exactly how to proceed.
So what do you need the NI number for?
To apply for the EHIC, for the,
You need an NI number to apply for EHIC.
at least online, it was like I couldn't skip that field. Yeah.
Okay. But to get an NI number, you need to go to your local job center and apply there. But because you already pay immigration house surcharge, I don't believe international students need a national insurance number. Please don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert on this UK bureaucracy. I would head to the local job center. So wherever you live, just type into Google the name of the area and job center and ask them how you can get a national insurance. There's no harm in getting one. You're entitled to have one, I believe. And then you can probably get the EHIC. But the EHIC would only be a requirement if you're applying for the UK EHIC, not for the overseas one. So not the German or the Italian or the. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, but I lost my German health insurance when I moved in here. Or at least I'm not paying.
You haven't lost it because you've paid for the immigration house surcharge, so you're covered with that. You're covered.
Here, but not if I go back.
Oh,
Like just
but if you go back, that's to do with your home country's regulations, so that you should ask locally back home. Yeah. So how do they? I mean, you can get a European health insurance card, which I believe you can use here, and even as a student. Have a look. But that European health insurance card is issued by your home country. So if you're German, Germany, if you're Italian, Italy, if you're Turkish, Turkey, if you're, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, but for me it's the other way around. I got now a UK health insurance, and I need something that covers me when I'm back in Germany just for a week or something. And I'm not covered there anymore because I'm not part of the system anymore, because I'm now part of the system here. Because otherwise I would have to pay in Germany, and that's way more than here.
I'm not sure if your what you paid for the EHIC, or for the immigration health surcharge here, you'd be able to use that overseas, not as an international student, because that's the payment it covers basic medical care, GP access. It covers getting prescriptions. It doesn't cover the fee of the prescriptions. It covers basic blood tests and referrals, but it wouldn't cover like cosmetic surgery or anything that's complicated that you would have to still pay for that. Dentistry doesn't cover it, so I'm not sure if there would be an option for you to use your immigration health surcharge paid for the duration of your studies abroad. But you can always ask them. Yeah, it would be somewhere between immigration house surcharge people here, so the home office, and your local administration that deals with the EHIC, the European EHIC. Yeah. Now, sorry, that's probably not very helpful, but that's the best I can offer. Anyone else? Any other questions about anything to do with visas or admission or the program? Okay, that's okay. All right, well, let's take back the time. If anything else comes up, you guys can find me in the registry office today, later on via email, telephone, or service now. Okay, thank you so much for your time.